beast attacks, because every time you hit, you're going to be 1 inch further back. So even with reach, you're just going to end up 2 or 3 inches away and out of reach range. So I cursed and swore for a while, and then we both agreed, you know, we'll take back the moves. I mean, I'm learning here, so you know, had this been a tournament, I'd been forced to do this, then my Stalker would have been in a vulnerable situation because he's out there. The Flameguard could have attacked him, and his lightning strike wouldn't have been triggered. But you know, because this is just a learning game, my first game against Menoth, I've been let off here, and you know, I think in future I would sort of have brushed up on the rules a little bit more before doing that. But friendly game aside, and a lot of distractions. So let's go to the next photo where I do something else instead. So that particular something else instead is to charge the Flameguard instead with the Stalker, even though they've used their little mini feat for the +4 armor. The thing is, the Stalker has Warp for Berserk, he's got Lightning Strike, and he's got Wild Aggression. So even though their defense and armor are just massive, the Stalker can boost quite a lot here, and he actually ended up wiping most of them out, just using all of his fury. Kromac was the one to cast Lightning Strike on him, so he is able to pull back to safety after doing a lot of damage there. So very effective Stalker. I did roll very well as well. I mean, you got to remember stuff like their defensive stance, where you might have -2 from your charge attack, and they've got, I think, about +8 defense at this point. The Stalker with his sword is, you know, power 16, so yeah, he needs to roll 7 or 8s worth of damage to kill him, I think. Can't quite remember, but I managed to do it. Next image, the Pureblood, instead of spraying the Jack as we previously were going to, has just stayed behind the wall and has sprayed the lone Wrack to death. Previously it had stealth, but it had used its point already, so I've sprayed it and killed it, you know, just to give me something to do. I've also got a stiff shifting stone within 4 of the objective, and having a cursory read of the scenario rules, I think that to control an objective, you have to have a model base to base with it, and if it's a unit, you've got to have at least 50% there, and the remaining models have to be within 4 inches. But to contest, I think you just have to have any old model within 4 inches. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's how it works. Next image, the Stalker has pulled back 6 inches after wiping out quite a lot of Flameguard. He's maxed out with his Fury there, and I've simply put the shifting stones in the way of any charge arcs up, charge lanes up there, or with the Jack, and the Gnarlhorn's moved up with Invulnerable Resolve on him. I've positioned him in such a way that if something somehow comes through to charge the Stalker, the Gnarlhorn can then move over 6 inches, and I did measure it with my control range just so he can counter slam there in front of the Stalker, so quite a defensive move there by him. Next image, the stones have been placed in front of the Jack. I do know that if you advance within range of him, he gets a free strike at you, like his counter charge or counter attack, but the stones are placed so that doesn't trigger his ability, I think. Next image, it's now the next Menoth turn, and Gun Jack, as I like to call him, going back to Tekken, but the lone Jack with the gun has a crack at Kromac behind the wall. Kromac's defense a billion at this point because he's got +4 from the cover there, but the Jack has a go anyway because of his AoE, you know, how should I put it, the AoE scatter. And doesn't manage to get Kromac, although if he had, I mean, the point of doing this is possibly setting Kromac on fire with the fire continuous effect. Next image, here's where it does scatter to, though. It goes 5 inches in direction 5, I think, and actually clips the Gorax. So the Gorax does take some damage and is set on fire, so that's quite annoying. Next image, he moves out with the Zealots and throws some bombs. Does manage to set the shifting stone on fire, but misses the Stalker, fortunately. So that's quite good. Next image, yeah, I think really that's about it. He this is just sort of an outside sort of view of what's going on. This shows the Stalker on fire and the stone on fire. Next image after that, pSeverius is back here trying to cast a spell through the arc node of the Jack out the front. I haven't put Bestial up at this point because I was too busy using my Fury points to cast Animi during my turn. So pSeverius can have a crack at it, but he doesn't manage to get anything done. Upkeeping his spells though at this point, and here's half of the Flameguard at the back. Next image, he moves over with his Arcnode Jack here and attacks the Shifting Stone, but rolls terribly and doesn't manage to destroy it because the armor of the Shifting Stone is quite high and it's got 5 boxes, so it manages to somehow survive the brunt of that Warjack's attacks. Low rolling indeed. Next image, he moves out behind the building with the rest of his Flameguard. He moves up with his jacks, and he's got some choir hanging around as well. So if you go to the next turn, I'm moving around first of all with my Pureblood and spraying the single choir, burst hit, and I managed to kill him, critically activating Warpath here because I've got some serious damage to do on my turn here. Going to the next photo, the stones get out of the way of everybody's charge lanes and they block the charge lanes for the Flameguard, so that should hopefully make a little bit of a difference in the retaliation turn. Next photo after that, the Satyr, the Gnarlhorn Satyr, charges the Warjack here with a prey on it from the Wolfriders. I was thinking very seriously about slamming him into the other Warjack and following up and continuing to beat down, but what I wanted to do here is simply weaken the Jack enough that the Stalker could move in, finish him off, and then move 3 inches over and attack the other Jack, and that's exactly what happened. If you go to the next photo, you can see that the Gorax moves up, uses 2 Fury to cast Primal on the Stalker. I'm seriously thinking about killing both Jacks, so that's why the Primal is there, and that should really allow him to do it. So if you go to the next photo, the Stalker moves in, gets a charge in, and smashes the Jack, which was already heavily damaged. This frees up the prey to go over to the Flameguard, since everybody else should be vulnerable anyway. In his previous turn, he'd used an ability on his Zealots to make them invulnerable to everything but spells and magical weapons and feats, I think it is, so that'll prevent the Wolfriders from attacking them, so I put it on the Flameguard instead. But if you go to the next photo, because the Stalker hasn't been affected by Warpath yet, he now uses it to Warpath himself over the ruins, so over the wrecked Jack. He's got Pathfinder, so he can do that more easily, and that puts him in range of both the choir member and the Jack. So with so much room for killing at this point, the Stalker is able to lash out with his claw, kill the choir guy, and then batter the other Jack to death with the sword. So the next photo shows you 2 hulking ruins in the middle of the field. The Wolfriders move out and pick off, I think, 2 Flameguard members before going to the next photo, and 5-inch moving, light cav moving just around, just to tempt him to go after the Wolfriders at this point, because I've put myself so far ahead with this turn that if he goes for the Wolfriders and ignores my Warbeast, I should be able to retaliate and really just wipe everything else out. But the Wolfriders are quite hard to kill with their defense 15, so they might even survive some of his attacks, and they're in a situation where they can perhaps get some free strikes on the Zealots if the Zealots try moving around to throw bombs at the Warbeasts, for example. Next image, that's what he indeed tries to do. So he moves, the Zealot in the foreground has already moved 5 towards Kromac. The other Zealot that was standing next to the Icon Bearer moved around to take a free strike and died. But that's all part of Mark's plan here, because the Icon Bearer moves around and then takes a free strike as well, but he's got +4 armor because of their special rule after you've taken a casualty. So a bomb is thrown at Kromac, but it misses. Next photo, his other Jack here runs all the way around to Kromac. He's still got vision on him, and Mark is a bit desperate at this point. He's moved around because this Jack in the next turn can start attacking Kromac, and Kromac can't really, get out of here without taking a free strike, and even if he does, the Jack's just going to come after him. Plus, that Jack can be an arc node, so if Kromac wanders away, it can start sort of acting as an arc node for Pseverius. But pretty good plan here. I mean, Mark's just trying to stay in the game here, and he'll have an opportunity to do so with this sort of move. Next image, Pseverius, surprisingly to me, came outside of his cover, outside of his building, so I may be able to get a Warbeast in to kill him, but he's put the remnants of his Flameguard in front of Pseverius just to prevent me from sort of charging with the Pureblood and so forth. He's also over here to contest the objective as well. They've still got prey on him for the Wolfriders. Speaking of which, next photo, the Wolfriders having, I think, taken a casualty at this point from something. Can't remember what it was, maybe a bomb or even a choir charging and killing one with extremely awesome rolls. The Wolfriders, though, move around and throw javelins at Pseverius, but he's camping for focus, so they didn't quite manage to hurt him. Next image, the Pureblood moves up and stuffs his claws down these guys' throats. He's activated with strength for the first time this game, so easily able to kill both Flameguard members since they are not shield walled and they haven't been mini-feeded. So that triggers Warpath for the Satyr. And if you go around here, Kromac has upkept only Warpath this turn. He moves out of control range. He moves out of free strike range. He moves out of melee range from the Jack, takes a free strike, but transfers it away to the Gorax, who dies. He then casts Wild Aggression on the Stalker, setting him up for an assassin or a cast kill run, and the Gorax has already cast Primal on the Gnarlhorn before that happened. The Stalker had Primal on previous turn, so he's frenzied into a Shifting Stone and killed it. But next photo, it's the activation for the Gnarlhorn. Has to run past 2 Flameguard members to get this kill done. Takes 2 free strikes, and that cripples his spirit aspect, which had already taken some damage, which is bad because it means that I can't buy attacks, I can't boost attacks. But fortunately, he's already got Wild Aggression and Primal on him. So if you go to the next photo, when you're rolling 3 dice to hit with +2, strength and attack, the Satyr really only needed two guys to kill him, and with the horns in one fist, I mean, you can imagine he just snapped pSeverius in half. So that's it for the game. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was a bit of a sloppy game, but really had a lot of fun, learnt a lot, and I think our next game will be a lot more streamlined. Hoping to crank more Varna out more frequently soon. But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing Mark's Menoth again. It's been really good. So